There was one young man had to wear
As far as I know,
amplification
yes.
device. In my
J6, so he'll be online.
Don't wear it into the bathroom.
I don't know.
Yeah, really.
Two, don't say anything under your breath. 'cause he's
So
gonna
do
hear it anyhow.
you,
Mhm.
how do you want to handle the first segment?
I think they said somebody is joining virtually. I just added you to the chat.
If they want to look at it.
Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, I didn't want to spring it on anybody, but I wanted to make sure I'd found that so you guys could take a look. We've talked about it a little bit.
Seriously, got this phone Friday.
Karen, did you just get that message?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
Nice to meet you.
I was, I'll be in on it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got somebody this time, although I don't see him.
Maybe they won't be on the water.
I hope not.
Jason Moore just joined.
Ah. Yay, Jason, we were just talking about you.
My ears were burning.
Of course.
You type it in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the laptop picked the wrong night to, of course, go cattywampus on me. So
Of course, that always happens. Oh, yeah, I had a conference call with somebody, and it was Microsoft Teams, and I'm generally on Zoom or Skype, but I had Teams downloaded, so I figure I'm okay. So I go to open Teams. Well, my Teams hasn't been used in a while, so it needs to be updated. And then it fails in the update. And then so I flip over to my tablet. And it's just like, okay, am I gonna get something to work?
I guess they unreplaced her and brought her back. It was probably just that they used the wrong file at the time.
Yeah, because that's,
No, that's Glenn's predecessor. She resigned before we even began, so I'm assuming they just used the wrong file name.
oh, probably.
Yeah, Karen's down there. She's correctly on there.
Yeah. That's the hope. Hey, Jen. Hey, Jennifer. You coming up?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I just asked you.
The Mama Read and you sign.
So
The text in my husband's vehicle.
we got a call to order, roll call. I guess we all introduce ourselves again. I'm not sure what we do with the purpose and goals of the St. Louis County Bipartisan Reapportionment Commission. And we're supposed to read the description. Oh, we have that on the agenda. It's 3.3. So it's right after the discussion for the location for the next meeting. And I want to talk about, and maybe it's an old business, what we're going to talk about in the next meeting.
I don't want to be on.
And that's the thing I want to bring up. And that's why I wanted to make sure. Yeah. We don't have all this. Yeah, we can bring out a phone. But if this is important, we don't have this if we leave this building. I recognize, and that's why I wanted to bring it up as a discussion. Because we have to weigh whether this technology is more important than doing that.
I think it's set up like this, but
I asked Jay.
Incredible.
They said they got nothing. We leave this building, they are not helping.
What do we need to
You
talk
heard
about?
anything from Matt?
we got to have, well, I tell you what, these conversations are gonna get
Yeah, we'll have that
open
discussion.
for everybody in a second. Okay. I mean, we're about to start anyway, so. As a matter of fact, is this 6:30 yet?
It is, it's 6:31.
All right. Well, at this time, We would like to call this meeting to order.
Want me to do the roll
Jay?
call? Or is he gonna do the roll call? I've got it, so I can do the roll call.
Oh, yeah, I don't have the list of our new friends who are joining us.
Yeah, I've got the list. We're good. Okay, I'm gonna go down the list in the order of which I have it. Becky Arps, present. Jennifer Bird. Present. Adam Bone.
Present.
John Bowman.
Here.
Matt Chellis. Karen Cloyd.
Here.
Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
John Joseph Kelly. Want all three?
Sorry?
Do you want to go by all three?
No, I don't know how. John
Preferences?
Jay or John Kelly.
John is
either
good?
one.
Okay. Glenn Conan. Sue Meredith. Jason Moore.
Present.
Tommy Pearson.
Here.
Dana Sandweiss. Brian Winger Mule.
Present. We can skip that.
Okay. So we have everybody but Matt Chellis, and as of this morning, the District 4 Republican seat is vacant. So next on the roll is, or the meeting is introduction of commissioners, especially since we have two that are brand new to this body. Jason, do you want to start since you're remote? Jay?
Yep, I'm Jason Moore, District 7.
You want to start that way? Brian, you want to go next?
Sure. Oh.
Yep.
People can hear me. Brian, I'm from the 3rd, Tim Fitch's district. Is that 3? That's 5. No, that's Lisa Clancy's.
You're
It is
3.
3. I was
You're
right the
3.
first time.
Oh, Karen Cloyd, District 7.
Tommy Pearson Jr., District 4.
Dana Sandweiss, District 5.
Glenn Keenan, District 6.
Sue Meredith, District 2.
John Bowman, District 1.
Becky Arps, District 1.
Jennifer Bird, District 5.
John Kelly, District 2.
Adam Bone, District 3.
And I did hear that Matt is on his way, so he should be here soon, but I don't know that we'll pause. I don't know that we need to pause right now. I think we can keep going.
Yes, we can. Okay, so next we have a purpose and goals of the St. Louis County Council Bipartisan Reapportionment Commission. I would like to, at this point, take an opportunity to make a statement regarding the county district apportionment, and this is for the record. The Democratic members of this commission wish to make a statement for the record. We are committed to an open and transparent process, following all laws and charters that govern our work. We are committed to work towards fair districts that keep St. Louis County communities together, taking into account the importance of municipalities, geographic boundaries, and communities who identify by race or culture. We encourage the public to attend our upcoming meetings to share the priorities for fair districts and their communities. The meetings are in person. So this is our first meeting. The next one is scheduled for Monday, November the 8th at 6:30 to 8:30. We tentatively had planned to have the Grants View Library. There will be more discussion regarding the technical issues that may occur. On Thursday, November the 18th at 6:30 to 8:30 at Florissant Valley Library. Monday, November the 29th at 6:30 to 8:30 at the Daniel Boone Library. That date will also be open for discussion. Those who are unable to or uncomfortable attending in person may join the meeting via WebEx link or by phone, as noted in the St. Louis County website Apportionment Commission page. And finally, we would like to welcome the new members of the commission. We look forward to working with you and thank you for your service.
Do we want to have a motion for approval of minutes from the meeting on August 19th?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Jennifer Bird seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Next, new business. So presentation of the data from St. Louis County Information Technology Department and County Data Officer Courtney Corman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Courtney Corman. I'm the County Data Officer. I apologize for not being there in person. All of my household is currently sick, so but let me go ahead and get my screen shared for you guys. And let me know when you can see the map up there.
I can see it.
Yep,
Okay,
sure
great.
can.
Thank you. So this link was sent out to this map as part of the report that was put together for the commission by my office. And so we are using the census data that was released in August, and then they've since released some more in September. But basically what we're here to do is provide you guys with all of the data that the U.S. Census Bureau has made available, and to show you how that fits into where the current lines are drawn. And then, of course, it is up to you guys to take that data and do the new delineation. So I just thought I would just walk you guys through what's available on this map. This is a publicly available map. It's like I said, it's U.S. Census data. There's nothing here that's not public, so you're welcome to share the link out with anyone who might be interested. There's no login required or anything like that. So I'll just start on the top left here. There's a legend that will change depending on which layers you have displayed on the map. So right now we've got the council districts pulled up, and we have a layer we've called Census Data Compare that I'll walk you guys through. And as you turn layers on and off, that'll change here. So if you need a reminder, you can always just click on this legend button. But the nice thing about, using an interactive web map like this versus making you guys pages and pages of paper maps is that you can change the data as to what you're interested in. You can zoom in and out. And then you can, if you would like a paper copy, I'll show you guys there is a way to print off what you're viewing. So I'll just go by each of these data layers. So of course we have the county council districts here, which are currently turned on and displayed and labeled. We have what we're calling the Census Data Compare layer. And so let me just click on that. So for each layer, or for each council district, it's going through and it's showing you guys the different numbers from 2010 to 2020, and then what the net difference was. So the total population here in 2010, then 2020, and here we've got the difference. And then it just goes through all of the different demographic breakdowns that the Census Bureau provides. So here it's going through the different race and ethnicity, and you can see the differences. And then the other main category of data that was provided with the reapportionment data from the Census Bureau. So there's population data having to do with race and ethnicity, and then they also provide some what they call housing data. So housing units would be just what it sounds like: apartments, homes, mobile homes, things like that. They look at total units, and then occupied units, vacant units. And then we have another layer that I'll show you guys later, but there's something called institutional housing. And so that would be things like prison population, nursing homes, and then that would be what they call institutionalized. And then there's non-institutionalized, which would be things like college dormitories or military barracks housing, those type of categories. So we are able to scroll through for each district and get the actual numbers. At the bottom, there's just a very simple graph where it'll go through, and you can see which things have changed in the positive and the negative. And it will do this for each district that you click on, and you can view all of those numbers there. So that is the Census Data Compare. The 2020 apportionment would be if you were just interested in the 2020 numbers for a particular district. And so that's what this 2020 layer is, the 2010, same thing, but for 2010 for each district. And then as you're doing this at any point in time, you can turn on the municipal boundary layers that'll overlay the entire county with all municipal boundaries, and a pop-up will appear if you click on one. And if it's part of unincorporated St. Louis County, like here, then it'll just pop up and say unincorporated. So otherwise it'll give you the name of the municipality. The St. Louis County boundary is, I mean, it's basically already there when you have the council districts on, but if for some reason you need it specifically, it's there. So the Census 2020 layer, this gets to get down to the most granular level of data that's available. And you can see it just takes a minute to load because as you can see, it's pretty detailed. So I'm gonna just zoom in here randomly. And so this is getting down to the block level. And if you read the report that our office generated at the very end, there was a figure that kind of shows how census data is organized. And so a block is the smallest unit of measurement basically that they have. And then there are block groups and there are tracts, and then it goes up to county, state, so on. So, but you can click on each of these blocks and see the total population in each block. You can see the block number and which part of which census tract that block is part of. And so you can see this, I mean, this is a very, you know, they're blocks, they're literally, you know, they're literally what they are named after. So in the more densely populated parts of the county, they are very small. So, you know, multiple blocks to a neighborhood. And so that's the kind of the smallest level you guys will see. And then we pulled in some of the data that was available for the 2010 census. The full 2020 decennial data had not been released yet when we put this together. I'm gonna have to go back and look. I think they have released more data since this was put together. I'm not sure if the full decennial release is out, but these 2010 layers that you're gonna see at the bottom are all from the 2010 decennial data. And so the most granular that you can get with some of this demography is at the tract level. They don't provide it down at, you know, the block level. I think that's mostly to do with privacy. If you had a small block of, you know, 10 people and you provided those demographics, it starts to get identifying. And so that's why they do it more up at the tract level. And so you can, depending on what you're interested in, oh, they do it. I'm sorry, they do it down to the block group. It just depends on, I guess, on which demographics you're looking at. But so for this, it's the race demography from the 2010 decennial census. This is for the tract, so you can click on here, and then it will go through all of the various racial and ethnic data that was available from 2010. And you can see it is a lot of data. So. And then you can just keep doing that for all of these. So I'm not going to click through each of these. They all, you know, work basically the same way with just a pop-up. So let me go back. If you ever want to zoom back out, there's a little home button here on the left, and it just takes you back to that zoomed out view of the county. But let's say that I wanted to get an idea of where all of those blocks were. So I would do Census 2020. And I'm going to zoom in on Clayton because that's where my office is. And so, you know, let's just say for whatever reason I wanted this, you know, a kind of a printout of this data, or wherever you guys decide, if that's helpful, you can come up here on the top right to this print little widget, and you can change the sizes if you want. I always just stick with the map only. You can do a PDF or these other various image formats like a JPEG or a PNG, but we'll just do a PDF. If you want, there are some advanced settings on here. I usually don't mess with those, but you're certainly welcome to. But you just hit print and it says creating print, and it usually just takes a couple of seconds. There we go. When it's done, then it appears like that, and then it opens up in a new window here. Oh no, why didn't, all right, so my layer didn't appear there. Oh, I probably had a setting wrong, but if it would be helpful, if you guys think you'll use that, I certainly can just write you up a little protocol for how to do that. And if you have any issues with this entire, you know, with anything on this map, please contact me by email. You know, I'm happy to help if there's any other data that you would like to have that you're not seeing. we can certainly add that in. It's really up to you guys. So with that, do you guys have any questions?
So is it possible to use this to draw new lines or show a potential map with new lines?
So that's a good question. So there is a measure tool on here, but it will only let you measure distance. So there's both an area tool, and you could pick like if you wanted acres or square feet, and you draw your little shape and it tells you how many square feet or whatever unit you want. You can also do a linear measurement, but you can't draw, say a boundary and have it run the calculations of, how many people are here, or, and how many people of, which race or age or whatever. That's not a possibility with that. Oops. So yeah, it's just more of a information display for you guys.
Did anybody else have questions? Go ahead.
Courtney,
Mhm.
are the numbers you're using the imputed numbers with the final numbers, or are they from the raw numbers from the census?
This is the raw numbers from the census. It's from, sorry, I can open the window up over here. If I can get this little share thing to move over. There we go. So this is the what's called a PL 94-171 redistricting. And so we download directly from the census. And then in that report we go through, so we used, so basically we pull that data. There's no manipulation of the numbers, of course. It's just we take the data, we display it on the map. The only calculations that we had to do was within that report, we went through, and for each district here, we've calculated out, how many people were there in the 2010 numbers, and then using these same, current council district boundaries, how many people fall within those boundaries using the 2020 numbers. And so the way that was done was we use software from Esri, which is really the gold standard for geospatial software. And so we used a reapportionment tool that draws, or that does the calculations. Let me see if I can just zoom in real quick and show you guys an example of, of how that would happen. Let me turn these, let's see the blocks on, where'd it go? There we go. So blocks generally do try to follow boundaries of, like you can see these are following the boundaries of the roads, but let's just say that the county council line, crossed right here across, like, say, this big kind of purple polygon that you see. The way that apportionment tool works is it takes that polygon, it looks at where that line is drawn, and then it says, let's just say the way that line split, 60% of the polygon fell on one side and 40% fell on the other side. It will now reapportion the population. So if we had 1,000 people living in that polygon, it will put 600 of them on that 60% side and 400 of them on that 40% side. And then that's how it calculates, all of the blocks within those boundaries. And so those are the only calculations we did.
The reason I'm asking is at the state rep meeting on reapportionment, two different numbers were given for the city of Ferguson on population.
Okay.
And they were about 1,400 apart.
Okay.
And Ferguson, of course, the city officials wanted to use the higher number.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas other people there were using the lower number.
Okay.
And
were these numbers generated by like two different, do you know the source of each number, or?
The one number was generated by the census after they imputed for people who did not send in their form.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so I can definitely do some research and look and see how that is handled for this data. Yeah, I would guess that is somewhere in the metadata for this. But I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but I'm certainly happy to look into that tomorrow, and I can send you guys, the documentation about how that's handled with this data.
Thank you.
Sure. Actually, you know what, it may be a couple of days. I've got a sick baby. My husband's at urgent care with him right now. So I can't guarantee I'm going to be in the office tomorrow, but this week. So he'll be fine. It's like probably just croup, but I don't want to promise you guys something that I can't deliver tomorrow. So, but certainly this week we'll get back to you guys with an answer for that. So
We thank you and please take your time. It's not going to kill us if it takes another day or two.
okay. Well, I know you guys are on
Your
a
baby.
on a timeline and you're doing important work. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys with that. So any other questions?
Brian?
Yeah, really. Can folks hear me? Really quickly,
Sure.
we were talking about the deadline. Do you know when the date was delivered or the date that the census numbers were delivered to the president?
Yeah, I heard you guys mentioning that before. And so I was pulling some stuff up on that. So what was delivered in April, and I just want to make really clear, I'm not a census expert. Coming from a geospatial background, I've worked with a lot of census data, but this is not my area of expertise. But so in April, though, what was given to the president was the apportionment results. And from my looking at it, my understanding is this is basically the numbers that were used for reapportionment at the state level, right? So how many representatives each state gets. But when you look at this PL 94171, so if you read about it, which I'd done when we first started going through this process, so this is a requirement by law that they release this data to be used, for reapportionment, but at the, not at the state level, but at these smaller levels, right? And so when you look at that, that is different data because it's smaller than the state level, and the state level is what was released in April. This data, if you scroll down, they gave the what they call the legacy format summary files on August 12th, 2021. And then the full data did not come out until mid-September. And so that's what we used, was this mid-September release. And so, that, we didn't have data available before that timeline to start working on this.
Great, and kind of following up with that and piggybacking off of Commissioner Arps, is there a software that the county can provide or recommend when we're looking at trying to apportion new districts?
Yeah, definitely. So, so the county has a contract with Esri, which is ESRI. Like I said, they're really like the gold standard of geospatial software. If some people will use open source tools, but if you're not using open source, I can pretty much guarantee someone's going to be using an Esri tool. And so that's, I don't believe we can like provide, non-employees software licenses or anything like that. However, I can certainly pass along documentation to you guys about, what like Esri tools are available. And I can certainly, make this data available on our open government portal site so that you can download it and you don't have to worry about filtering it out from like the nationwide data release. But so I would say though, there are open source data tools. The most commonly used open source tool is called Qgis. And then like I said, the Esri tool, which they have a program called Arc Pro. This map is, this is built on the ArcGIS online platform, which is an Esri product. And so, yeah, if you guys, that would be my recommendation, is either QGIS or an Esri license.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Any more questions?
Adam.
If I give you a map that I've made a couple already, and it does abide by the blocks and everything that it currently exists, do I need to tell you which census blocks I removed, which precincts or areas of the county I've moved over, or is it visible? Is it apparent to you if I give you the map where the lines currently stand according to my new?
Well, I have all the boundaries as they stand, but my understanding of this process is that you guys don't need to check with me, right? So,
sure.
Yeah. So but I can certainly provide you guys like, a file of where these boundaries are. And then, if you're using one of those software tools, it's going to be able to see the differences for you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, maybe I'm more clear. I already have maps that I've made up by
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
Do I need, how is the best way to give them to you as far as to show you, to try to get my format to match up with whatever your format is when you make official maps?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I could send out to the whole committee, you know, the data formats these are in for you guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Generally, they're using shape files, which you know, I don't know how familiar people are with geospatial technology, but you know, just like image formats have things like JPEGs and PNGs and stuff. So the most commonly used data file format for geospatial stuff is called a shape file. And so, but yeah, I'd be happy to send out like file formats for both what's available. That's one thing, I guess. Would it be helpful to have all of, so right now these are available, you know, you can view any of this. We could certainly add it to our open government webpage, which is in the process of kind of getting revamped here in the next 2 quarters, but I could certainly put it up on that page and give you guys links so that if you're interested in downloading the actual underlying data, then you can do that.
Would it be possible for us to give you some new lines and then it can be put into this so it can be shared in this sort of meeting so that it's if perhaps the Republicans and the Democrats each presented a map, ideally it would be in a similar format. Would it be something that if we gave it to you like I'd say a week out, but the next time we meet is in a week, a couple days out, how would it be possible to do that, or is it just too crazy?
Well, would it be like in a geospatial file format, or are we talking more of like an image of the map?
I don't know that we could do a geospatial file format,
I think it exports,
but maybe we'll give you maybe we can give you an export and see if that's something that you can pull into your tool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you email it to me and I'll take a look and, you know, and get back to everyone as, you know, as soon as you guys send it to me with what's possible. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Any
and
other
just one thing would be, just let me know if, like I said, this is all publicly available. So I would just want to make sure everyone would be okay with the fact that, you know, that it's not password protected or anything like that.
But we're a public body, so it would be shown at this meeting. So we'd want to be publicly available.
Exactly.
Anyhow.
Yes. Yeah. I'm obviously also all in favor of that. I just want to always, whenever, I guess it's just habit from working on other things of telling people what's public versus not. So
we appreciate the concern. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any questions down here?
Jay, do you have a question?
I do not.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney.
Sure. Okay. Well, I will get back to you guys about the imputed counts with this data set and what went on there with that. I will also send you guys an email about the file formats that we usually work with. And then of course, anytime email me with questions. And if you send me potential maps, we'll look at the possibility of importing those. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Now go take care of those kids.
I will. Thank you. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
You too.
All right. You too. Take care. Okay. I guess next on the agenda is discussion on location in the next meeting.
Before we go too far on that, because I think we do need to discuss, we talked briefly before the meeting that the last time we met, we'd had a date of December 2nd as when we had to have this turned in. I went back through the charter and it says not later than 6 months after the population of St. Louis County is reported to the President of the United States after each decennial census or 6 months after the appointment of the commission by the county executive, whichever is later. The date on my letter that I received was May 28th. So I'm using that as our appointment date.
Sworn in. We were officially appointed, sworn in, which was August 27th, 28th.
That wasn't when we were appointed because
we
the
were-
letter actually,
I hereby appoint the following individuals to serve May 28th.
yeah, that was when we were sworn in, but I don't think that's when we were officially appointed.
So this would just theoretically move our date from December 2nd to November 28th?
Yes.
November 28th.
I think that's
Just to be
fine.
cautious, I would,
Yeah,
I would
just to be
suggest
cautious.
that we think about November the 28th, just
Yeah,
err to caution on this.
I agree, because we wouldn't want to submit maps and then have them thrown out in court because they were late or something.
Yes, because if we take that and then the census notification that I passed out earlier, and we've talked about it, but I can send it to you guys. I show the only reference I have to the president receiving, is that's the other date. The only reference point I have to the president receiving it is April 26th.
Yeah.
And that's when the president, I mean, I would expect the president would receive things before we would.
Yeah.
So it was the later of the two dates.
So I think we can entertain making that adjustment.
Yeah, do
Is
we need
everybody
to
okay
make a
with that?
motion?
I mean, it's just a couple of days.
You guys good with it?
Yeah, we don't have to make a motion, but I'm good with it because that's what the rules.
Yep.
Just so we stay in compliance here.
So,
Yeah.
so we need a notation in the minutes that we've moved the acceptance or the presentation date to November 28th from December 2nd,
Yes.
Yes.
just so it's noted in the minutes.
It'll be noted in the minutes.
Yeah.
Correction.
Perfect. I will make sure a note is made about that.
Okay,
So we had identified with the doodle that the dates we were looking at were 11/8, 11/18, or the remaining dates that we were looking at were 11/8, 11/18, and 11/29. Figuring that maybe the 29th becomes the 28th, although I don't know what day of the week that is.
Sunday.
That would be a
Sunday.
Sunday.
it's a Sunday. That's not gonna work. That's Thanksgiving weekend. That's not gonna work.
No.
So it needs to be before that.
So
So there's
here's the other options. We can have this date after date. It can be the next day after one of these dates. You know what I mean? We just gotta add another date in. Say like you got the 18th, we can meet on the 19th.
Yeah, or what was the,
So the 19th would be a Friday. So we're currently looking at the next Monday. And the 18th is the Thursday after that.
That would be Monday, the 22nd.
Monday the 22nd. Here, Monday the 22nd. I mean, we don't want to get caught up in that holiday.
true.
Right?
So check calendars. How does the November 22nd look?
Fine by me.
Hmm?
Fine for me.
Yeah, that should be okay for me.
Any concerns?
I think we have consensus. Do we need to make a motion?
Well, location would be an issue too.
Well, look, yeah, let's get our date and then we got to have a conversation about location. So we're looking at the 8th, the 18th, and the 22nd?
18th isn't good for me.
The 18th's no good for you?
Nope, Thursday nights.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to look at just the next three Mondays? So go with the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd.
All Mondays.
All Mondays?
Mondays work for you? Mondays work for everyone?
Jay?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Works for me.
Okay, so we've got the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd. We had discussed earlier that we wanted to travel around the county. I had confirmed with Jay that, because the other thing we talked about when we first met was that we wanted to be able to have Zoom or conference availability. As per my conversation with Jay, the county cannot provide us the bells and whistles that we have here with screens and conferencing. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't do a Zoom or some other kind of conference, but it would be on our availability.
We could, can we use a hotspot?
The libraries have internet.
I mean,
And I-
the libraries have internet and Wi-Fi, right?
Reasonably, I think it would probably fall on me and Adam to try and get folks in some kind of Zoom.
Because we want to make it convenient for residents to be able to come in areas where they live, right?
It would, I'm not saying, I want to make sure that we understand the challenges that we're facing. I'm not voting one way or the other. I just want to make sure that it's clear.
Right.
So internet, we can probably find internet at each place. We can probably identify a laptop that we're going to use. I don't know that we're going to have availability of screens that we can hook or TVs that we can hook up to said laptop. So we're going to be a little bit more limited on if somebody is remote. And one of the rules that we had set was that you need to have your face visible on there. So if we were going to have anyone remote from this body, and we also, or even if we had members of the public that wanted to participate, it's going to be a little bit more, it's not going to be as elegant as the solution we have right now. If we find that acceptable, then we can talk about going other place. Yes, sir.
I have been at the Grants View Library where they had screens set up and cameras set up, some brought in by somebody else. So the question is, can they find what we need in this building and we can get it shipped down there for the night?
They're not, they may be able to find it, but they're not going to support it.
I don't think so. We would have to scout out what the technology looks like at these libraries to make a real, decision on whether or not they have the capabilities or not. I think it's important that we make sure the public this is made as convenient for them as we possibly can. Any members think they're gonna miss any of these dates? Now that we shifted to Mondays?
Yeah, obviously we can't guarantee that somebody's not going to get sick.
Right.
That's always a given.
Right.
That's
Right
a
here.
given. That's given right now.
Yes.
Anybody could get sick. But once again, public input on these maps is extremely important. And we should try to make it convenient for them to get to these facilities.
Are folks okay if I go through and call the libraries and see if they have screens or
Yes,
what technology they have available and report back?
absolutely.
Sure.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thank you.
I will make sure that's in the minutes and get on that as soon as possible.
I did check and honestly, I don't remember. Jay, were we able to be back in here on the 8th? Okay, I just wanted a backup plan. So if for some reason we couldn't be ready for something at another location, we at least have a place to meet.
So you're talking about checking with these locations to see if they have screens. Would that be for viewing, whatever maps we draw? Or are you talking about also checking to see if they have the capability for WebEx to include people who could not be at the physical location?
I think off the top of my head, I was going to ask if they had a screen we could connect one of our laptops to get WebEx folks involved. I can ask, well, I guess on the same thing, if we have a screen that is connected to a laptop, you could present a map as long as you had a digital file of it. So I can potentially ask them for 2 screens.
Well, and maybe the other question is, do they have the capability, do they already have a laptop that we would be able to use, or a computer system that we'd be able to use in that facility?
You mean, does the library themselves have a laptop we could use?
Yes.
I can ask.
They can't hurt to ask.
On the Grants View website, they say they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, most libraries
Yeah.
do.
So they have public computers and Wi-Fi, so the odds are we're 90% there.
That sound good?
I guess so.
Yeah, we can find out what they have. Yes, Adam?
Is there any need that we have for video conferencing, taking video of us to present to the public, or is it just more internal to us to see other members of the commission who are not present?
I think it's more for us to make sure the public can see it.
Yeah. So then when we check out the libraries, I assume we would have to check out if there's some sort of video conferencing to be able to take a video of the whole group as a whole. And I think at that point, hopefully the library can do it, but it just seems a lot easier just to stay at a place that has everything that we need where we are.
Central.
I mean, if I knock yourself out, if you can find a library, that's great, but it just seems a lot easier and a lot less of a headache and a hassle. I mean, apart from having to, the hassle for Jay to have to coordinate, but it just seems a lot easier just to stay where we are at this is a perfect outlet.
Central.
It's easier for us,
Yeah.
but not easier for the general public.
Well, it's equidistant. It's 30 minutes from any given direction. It's not, I don't,
The general public may not be able to join online like they can now.
Yeah. So you'll check it out for us.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work, the plan B is to come back here.
Sounds like
Is
a
that
plan to
correct?
me.
That sounds great.
Sound good?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Jay, you still awake there?
I was just nodding my head, yes.
I thought that's what that rattle was.
Okay, well, sounds like that's taken care of.
Something I'd like to propose, since we are talking about the next meeting, or maybe we can push this to old business, is I would like to propose, I don't know if you all have been working on maps in this break that we've had between meetings. I know that we've taken the time to sit down and look at some of the data and try to come up with maps. Do you think it would be possible at the 11/8 meeting to present a proposed map so that we can start discussing a map and potentially changes that we each would make to it?
11/8, our next meeting.
Correct.
So would that include some public input on it, or how do we do that?
We can certainly show them to the public so the public can provide input at that meeting. I mean, there's the opportunity for public input today. I mean, obviously, it's not a final map. But as we're running on a bit of a compressed schedule, we've got 2 meetings and a vote. So we
Right.
can start proposing maps. And as Courtney said, they'd be, if we propose them in the tool that they have, they'd be publicly available anyhow.
Right. And to further Becky's point, it's up to us to propose maps.
Right.
And we can invite all the public comment that we want, and the public may have opinions on each of our maps. But it's up to us to propose and vote on a map. And so the sooner we can start working on that, the sooner we can bring forth maps that we can discuss, the better off I think we are as a commission. And at each of those meetings, of course, we can invite public comment on the proposed maps that we bring forth. But I don't think we can have 3 public meetings where we just invite public comment, but we aren't working on maps.
Okay, I agree. You have something to say?
The question though is, how much are we putting on Courtney? Because unless we're using her Esri license, we're going to have to give the data to her and she's going to have to transpose it into their system so it can be projected and work with them.
We can share how we're doing it if she comes back and says, I can't.
Mhm.
But at least give her the option to, I mean, it sounded like in the conversation, she was open
Mhm.
to checking out what we would provide in a map. If she, and obviously we'd send it to her with the offering that if this is going to take several hours,
Mhm.
then we'll find another way to look at the maps.
It kind of sounds like Courtney's all like a one-person shop almost. I don't want to put too much on her. We're putting multiple maps at each meeting. That could be a lot of work for her in a short turnaround time.
It could be, it could not be. It depends on how we provide the data. we're not going to know until we give it at least one try. If we give it a try and she comes back and she's just like, and when we send it, we need to ask, what's the level of effort? If the level of effort is several hours, then we punt and look at a different way of sharing maps. If the level of effort is 30 minutes, let's explore it. Does that sound reasonable?
Do you guys mind if I ask what software you all have been playing around with? I'm familiar with like Dave's redistricting. I don't know if it goes down all the way to the
It
county.
does.
It does?
Oh, it does.
Okay, great. Is that what you've been using?
Yep.
Okay, I do know that you can download what Courtney mentioned, a GIS geospatial file out of Dave's redistricting.
And that's why I was asking her. I'm like, I have a map, and I give it to you. I'm assuming whatever lines that I give, and I'm drawing with our official tracks and blocks, they should be able to match up with what she has with her maps.
Yeah, so I know Dave's redistricting does that, and I'm glad you know it goes down to the county and municipal level. I think we can
It goes
present.
down to the precinct level.
That's nice.
It goes down to the census block. So I've been able to move precincts and then just divide it and just move the individual census blocks.
Oh, do you divide each precinct, you mean?
Yeah, so you can move a precinct, like, Lewis and Clark 28, you can move that whole one over, or you can ask it to break it into blocks, and you can move in each individual census block, and suddenly you've divided a precinct into pieces. But yeah,
Very
it's available there.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I think we should be good at, from the Democrats, like you all proposed, to bring a first stab at a map.
I like it.
Yeah. Or
Are we down to the census?
I guess I should ask my fellow Democratic commissioners, does anybody have an issue with that?
Any more questions on that?
You guys all good with that? Yes, sir.
So just to be clear, we're presenting two maps or are we presenting options? What do we think things will look like next Monday?
I would say 2 map options. It would be a map option that we've explored and a map option that you've explored. It may be, I do believe in miracles, it may be possible that they'll overlay and be perfect, and we'll look at them and go, oh, wow, we're done, we agree, we're good.
No more meetings.
That would be great.
That's it.
Question. Yes.
You said something about splitting precincts.
Mhm.
Right now, St. Louis County has 1,400 precincts. And that's a lot. I think if we split one, we should maybe put 2 together if we can. I mean, the way they're divided now is by, you take all the maps of all the various districts and stack them up. That's how you come up with all the different precincts.
Yeah, St. Louis County currently has 236 census tracts, 748 block groups, and 15,359 census blocks. And there's 28 townships, obviously, and then each township is divided into, 40, 50 precincts, and yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
I remember last year, Rick Stream was pointing out that they had like 300 and some odd different ballots about the county.
In April,
Because-
the April municipal, yeah.
Right, April, and then the primary because of the committee people and everything.
Yeah.
Years ago, when I ran for office, there was one precinct that had 2 people in it. But they didn't have a secret ballot. I think we need to kind of avoid that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would imagine that we wouldn't want to do that often. But let's see what we come up with.
Something to throw out there to add in. Let's see if we can make things a little easier for the election board if possible.
Oh, I don't think we're the ones complicating it.
We're really not going to open that, are we?
Any more discussion on combined maps being offered up at the next meeting? You guys got a lot of homework to do.
We do, and only a week.
Yeah.
Do we want to discuss the rules for public comment?
Yes, we do. I'm going to open that up a little bit more, but we did submit something to Jay, I believe. And we wants to cut public.
It's the
We
last
have it out
page.
here. Okay.
You looked at it?
Everybody had a chance to look at it?
Is that in this packet?
It's the very last page, page 13 of 13.
I'll read it real quick.
Timeline and key dates.
No, it's not
That's the
that
next
back
one.
one here.
So speakers will be heard in the order they sign up. That means name, address, phone number, email address. Each person may address the commission once during the meeting. All comments must address the St. Louis County district lines and the reapportionment process. And there's a minimum of 3 minutes per speaker,
Maximum.
maximum.
We don't give them.
Yeah, that's true. 3 minutes. Oh, my God. Also, there's
think
a
of a
written
few who would
testimony will be
Take
shared.
advantage.
Me.
Written testimony will be shared with all commissioners and will be part of the public record. And written testimony may be submitted up through, we may have to adjust that date, up through November the 15th to Adam Bond or to Brian. Anybody have any questions about submission dates?
So would we want to make it noon of the day of the meeting?
For testimony?
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think
For the day of
the,
the meeting.
Absolutely.
You good with that?
Are you good with that?
I didn't quite understand. Day of the
Require-
15th.
To require data or to require comments by noon, the day of the
The day
meeting.
of the
Oh,
meeting.
of any given specific
But-
meeting.
correct.
Gotcha,
Yeah, the
gotcha.
meeting. Yeah.
I think that's
good.
what the state House and Senate use is noon.
It's the
Noon
same
day
thing
of,
they
yeah.
do.
That's
Yeah.
what they're using here
And-
for county council, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
but
And
that's
is the
perfect.
written testimony, they come up and speak, but they have something that they want to provide, or is that, when you say written testimony, is that in replacement of, they're not physically at the meeting, but they want to email us their
They can
opinions?
email it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's either or both? I didn't know what written testimony, if it was
We're
people are
talking
physically
either.
here.
Written in the form that they will not be physically here,
Okay,
but they're going to send
gotcha.
it to us or Jay.
Because I know sometimes at county council that someone will say, and I have this report and I want to submit it in the record. I'm like, oh, okay, so I didn't know if that was going that detail or not.
Any more questions on the public comments?
Did you say we need, so the date we're changing is just the generic?
To noon.
To
of the
noon, the day of
The
the
day
meeting,
of.
of the pertain,
Yep.
yeah.
Question?
I might add or maybe adjust, the written testimony will be shared with all commissioners and will be part of the public meeting by 1 PM the day of the meeting. So that anything you get, you each share out.
Yeah, so they email us their written testimony
Then
by
we can-
noon of that morning of that meeting, and then in an hour, we'll be able to just turn around, and just forward it to all 14 of us then.
That sound reasonable?
Oh,
Do you mind giving us like till like 5, since our meetings are at like 6:30, that would give 90 minutes to parse through. I will be at work during the day.
Okay. Is 5 reasonable for you?
5 would work better for me.
I can do either, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
I probably won't see it between 5 and the meeting time, but that's all right.
I won't either, but.
Yeah, my apologies. Was there a timetable before that end time for when they can start supplying their email feedback?
I assume it would be noon the previous meeting.
Okay, so they'll have that full week.
Yes.
Okay.
In that case, to give people more time, would it be appropriate to move it to like 10 PM the day before the meeting so that we have at least 12
When do they
hours or
look at
so?
it?
Because otherwise, like Matt and Brian were saying, like they're at work and they'll get home and they'll have this, maybe a 5-6 page document to read through. Might as well give them like at least a 12-hour span to read through it.
Yeah,
That makes much more
I think we
sense.
have room for that change. Yeah, absolutely.
Does that work within the rules of, for
Rules are
public
what we make
comment?
'em.
I mean, traditionally, the comment would be at the time of the meeting. Is there a prescription in the rules?
Yeah,
for
but we're talking about written testimony.
Right.
Okay,
Um,
so that's okay.
Comment would be in person.
In person, correct.
That's-
But I thought that the written testimony would be in lieu of comment
Mhm.
because, for
It
example,
is.
people who are sick or they can't, or are quarantined or are caring for someone and they can't leave. But I just want to make sure that doesn't change the rules where we're doing something wrong and accepting commentary, basically, even if it's in written form for its intent and purpose, but just the day before. But if there's no problem, there's no problem. I think it makes much more sense to give the day before because Brian works, you work a different schedule, but
it's not a lot of time. I know from other meetings, you're like, wow, this is a whole lot to get through in order to be prepared, which you want to be prepared. And we want to listen to what people say and we want to have time to absorb
Process it,
it.
yeah.
So I like the day before as long as there are no restrictions on date, on timeline.
Right, I see what you're saying, because if we got it like at 5 o'clock and the meeting started at 6:30 and we probably had to eat something, we wouldn't have a chance to go
For
through it.
example, I can eat straight from work, I'm starving.
So are we all good with 10 PM the day before?
Yes.
So what is the timeline for Brian and Adam to send it out to the commissioners?
I don't think 11 PM is out of the question. It's probably, I'm assuming people would be providing us either PDF or Word documents, so just save those to a folder, zip it and forward it out. It's not hard. So 11 PM is not out of the, I don't see why we wouldn't have it done by 10:15, but the deadline would be 11, I think be fine.
So that's going to be 11 PM Sundays because we're meeting on Mondays.
That should be fine.
Okay. So we've amended number 6 to say that it is to be submitted up through 10 PM the day before the meeting. And then I guess number 5 would be, the testimony would be shared with all the commissioners by 11 PM the day before each meeting. Good with that?
Sounds like a plan, and I'll
Good
make
with
sure it
that?
ends up in the minutes.
Great.
So it just has to go into the minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. Everybody good?
Any other adjustments to the public?
I just have a question about number 1, requiring people to provide their address and email address. I know during county council, people just provide zip code. I didn't know if we need to go to that much detail to require people provide that much information about themselves in a public forum. Is it usual or unusual? I don't know.
I know that the State House and Senate, you provide like an address, all kinds of information. So
Okay.
this is kind of in the middle between just a zip code and what the state requires for legislative testimony.
Plus,
Folks-
plus when we were looking at this, we were thinking about that would also tell us what district they're from.
Oh, yeah.
Or, so if we're getting a lot of people from 7, but nobody from 2, that's something that we should know too.
Which the zip code gives some indication,
Some,
but yeah,
but-
not a lot of the detailed granular level.
Okay.
And my only other question is number 2, I'm assuming that it excludes interrogatives. They're gonna talk, but I'm assuming we have time to ask questions back and forth if it's someone that we have interest in speaking with. It doesn't limit them there.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Jay?
Nope.
All right. It'll be reflected in the minutes. I'm sorry. Just-
Letter here would be, I
I think we left the sign up with the name, address, phone number, and email address.
Yeah, it didn't change that. That's my check. Okay. Moving right along.
Any old business?
Any new business? Public comments?
We won't hold you to sign up since you didn't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
So
Second.
moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you,
Opposed?
Jay.
There you go.
All right, you guys have a great evening. Stay healthy.
Get well, get
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Hope that later.
Well, I was 10 minutes late. I missed a bunch.
Well, this one doesn't work.
Trying to.
Haven't eaten since breakfast.
I think I had lunch about 3.
So what happened?